You don't lead by waiting for permission, and you definitely don't build influence by playing it safe. So whether you're showing up online or walking into a room full of ISO professionals, how we connect as leaders has changed. And today we're going to unpack exactly what that looks like. Welcome to Lead the Standard. Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kelly Taylor, and I am so glad that you have joined Jackie and myself for another episode of Lead the Standard. Good morning, Jackie.
Hello, I'm here.
You're here. Thank good. Main trouble in the background there. Now for those listeners out there who've ever felt like networking isn't their thing, or maybe you've been wondering how, yeah, exactly, hands up, how ISO professionals actually build meaningful connections these days. This episode is definitely for you because it's no longer about conference handshakes and business cards and sitting around a table making small talk with strangers who you'll never see again in your lifetime. The way that ISO leaders connect today is much more layered, more digital, and thankfully more human. That one might surprise a few people out there. As always, this episode is inspired by our latest Lead the Standard article. You'll find that link in the show notes, where Jackie is going to break this down into her signature, no-nonsense, practical way, which we'll elaborate on today. So if you haven't read it yet, definitely go have a look after you've listened to this episode. But we love a good chat, so stick around here for some extra insights and expansion on those topics. Now, speaking of showing up in person, hands up and said we don't like networking. Jackie, you're getting ready to head off to Denver. And let's be real, the rest of us are living a little bit vicariously through your LinkedIn posts already. And that's absolutely going to form part of today's conversation. I don't want to steal any of that wanderlust thunder, so I'm going to leave that for later. But for now, this article does feel a little bit like a rally cry, not just to get out there, but more so to actually connect with purpose. I would love you to share with us where this topic actually came from and why it's so important for ISO professionals and professionals in general, actually, right now.
Yeah. I suppose it was suggested to me that, obviously there's going to be a gap in our newsletter because I'm going to be away for the next few weeks. So I think you suggested, well, why don't you make the last one before the break about going to the conference?
Another great idea
and then
that I forgot about.
Great idea, Kelly. You come
Thank
up
you.
with them sometimes, occasionally. So when I was sitting here thinking, okay, well, what does this look like? I realized, I really don't like that word, networking. But also, I've been influenced lately or by someone who was in the industry in the past, who has this obsession about doing everything face to face, which is what we used to do in the olden days. But it's quite different these days. In person is still a part of it, but how we get there is very different. It's not the be all and end all, and I don't want to give too much away because obviously I am meeting people in person, so absolutely see the benefits of it. But I do want to share with you already what's happening behind the scenes before I'm meeting people in person in Denver, which is a change which comes into that digital content, socials, which is that model that I created that pulls in, what did I call it again? Something about a modern...
You're heading too far down the run sheet for me.
I am a modern networking model. Yeah. So when I pulled all that together, I could see how the in-person was really... everything else leads to that. It's certainly not the only thing. So I suppose that's where I was heading with this, to show that, and visibility, connection, trust, inspiration, even when we get to that point. So that's why we're here.
Excellent. So where exactly are you going to? Or why are you going to Denver? What's in Denver?
Oh, I'm going, yeah. It's cold. It's a it's the World Conference on Quality and Improvement, and ASQ, American Society for Quality, hold it annually in a different place in the US. Um, yeah, I think there's thousands, 3,000 people attended. So this is going to be my first time. I was encouraged by my colleagues at Exemplar Global at the end of last year to attend. I met them in Sydney just for a catch up and dinner, and they talked me into it because they go every year, and they've told me how amazing it is. So I'm super excited because, and this comes into what we're talking about. The app has come out in the last week for the conference, so you can see everything that's on. I've already got people messaging me. I've set up a brain date. Like there's all of this activity already. Before we get to the in-person stuff. And that's sort of what I wanted to share with you, like how things have changed
Excellent.
in this modern view of networking. It's not like,
Hey, yeah.
as this is said, I am not a very good person face to face. It is quite stressful for me, but because I create these relationships beforehand now, I've got these established relationships, but I'm jumping ahead.
You are jumping ahead. So, but let's do that. Let's get into it. So, lead the discussion, my friend.
Okay. So I will give you my short answer because you do like me to sort of start off. Maybe I've already done it, but let's see. So I I talked about in the newsletter about how networking isn't just handshakes and even business cards. That's something else I'll talk about a bit later as well, the physical business cards. It's really not about going to just conferences and events in person anymore. We've got this entire digital world, um, socials, content, etc., that sort of form the basis and back all of this up. So, as leaders in the ISO space, we really need to show up in many different ways to build that trust, grow our influence and our relationships. Okay, so and it all starts with with the, I suppose, the not in-person stuff. That's where it starts with. Okay, so that's where, when I was writing this article, I came up with that model, and I called it modern networking. Still use the word networking, but yeah, it's modern networking model. And so there's the four key ways which Kelly and I will break down. There's the content, there's socials, there's digital, and then of course there's in person. And as we work through it together, you'll see how they create this underlying current for what the final, if that's where it ends up, in
Hmm.
person method, I suppose, of networking.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want me to break it down?
Let's break it down because I'm going to jump ahead if we don't. I've got some thoughts and I
I know.
this one.
Yeah, I've struggled already as well, as you can see. So the first key area in that modern networking model is content. So we start by showing up with some sort of value, I guess. So, this is where, you share your thought leadership. Okay, this is where you write down your concepts and ideas and even be a little bit challenging as well. So, ask yourself right now, if you're in this ISO space, what kind of content are you putting out there? Okay, so, and as we work through this, I'll share what I do. Okay, so the content I put out there is obviously the weekly newsletters. Right here with Kelly. Kelly and I put out the podcast. This is content. Okay, we put out social posts as well. under Atoll and Jackie Stapleton also. I did say the newsletter, that's like email. Okay, so you have that as well. What else? Have I missed
Blogs,
anything, Kelly?
blogs,
Sorry?
blogs.
Oh, yeah, blogs. Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
So that's the different type of content. Oh, I'm my first book is being edited currently. Um, so with this content, it's all repeatable and reusable. Like, just as Kelly and I are doing, we write a newsletter and then Kelly and I talk about it. And uh, as you know, as a listener, and Kelly will know this as well,
Mm.
we find that by just talking about what I wrote in the newsletter, we get so much more visibility and, yeah, and ideas and context out of it. So it takes it to a new level. And all of these newsletters, you can pull them apart. Actually, my VA, Louise, she pulls out these newsletters apart, and blogs are the same, and you can make little social posts out of them.
Yeah.
I can use these to create parts of a chapter in the book. So you don't need to create new content all the time. Oh, this content goes in the Quality Business magazine.
Yeah.
So with the Australian Society for Quality. So it's all reusable and reproducible in different formats.
Yeah. Even this podcast, we do sound bites from it, we do videos from it,
Correct.
we do shorts from
Oh, that's
all.
right. We do videos. Yeah, that's another form of content.
Yeah. So you don't need to be um creating, and this is a lesson that we've really only learned in the last 3 or so years by necessity, I guess. We just didn't have the resources for somebody to be doing all of these things all of the time. So Lead the Standard article became our base, and look how
Hmm.
much we've been able to achieve with that, and get that out there. And this is the scary part for a lot of people, getting their thoughts and opinions out there, etc. But I actually find this, I'm like you, I get a bit of social anxiety. I've had a lot of things going on the last few years that ill people. I feel safe behind my desk. And this to me is the new in person, having a Zoom or a face
Hmm.
or anything
Hmm.
in person. Um, but the content, I feel, is a really good way to dip your toe in the water, because people are going to gravitate to you based on your thoughts, feelings, and opinions, or they're going to gravitate away from you based on those things. And that's going to help build that, I suppose, that first pillar of the foundation into building your. Again, I don't want to call it networking, but you are building a network, or you're building your community. Um, this is a really great place to start, and it's not as hard as a lot of people make it out to be. So,
No. And you just have to get started. I've shared this with many people over
yeah.
the years, and um, I probably think that maybe the first 20 newsletters I wrote, well, they're not very good. Um, and they were really low hanging fruit. They were probably very technical. Um, where but you have to go through that process to get rid of all of that and learn as you go. It's the same, Kelly, and I've told this story before about recording the
Oh
videos
my
for
gosh.
our YouTube channel.
Yeah, go
So
watch a 5 year
you,
old video and look at Jackie before and
yeah, and
now.
how different it is. Yeah, and you'll see this with other people's podcasts as well. I notice it if I start listening to a new podcast program. Is that what you call it now? I feel
Yeah.
old. Um,
Kids on the
but if
wireless.
you if you listen to their first ones, they're quite different to their newest releases because they've just learned as they've gone along.
Mm.
You can't get to that point unless you start and do all of that. I was going to say crap first, but it's not
Uncomfortable.
crap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
get through the
but
uncomfortable phase. And
it's even the content sometimes because some you're trying too hard,
that's
and
it.
and using your word, until you're comfortable with just blurting out what you're thinking, then you really get to the core of it. So, I've, in the last 3 months, I think I'm up to 4 articles that Quality Business Magazine have picked up and said, we want that.
Yeah. And
It took me all of this time for them to notice and pick up on what
good.
I've been writing because I was practicing.
Yeah, we're
I'm
coming up to
practicing.
100 newsletters and articles
Yeah.
soon. So that's how long that's taken. I'm going to put in the
Yeah.
show notes links to Quality Business Magazine, and people can
Okay.
find that in general there as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think that's a really good example. Once you've done the hard yards of the content, and I think it's really important to identify that content that we're talking about is different from the other sections in here. They connect, but they are different.
Exactly.
So I'm going to
Exactly.
leave you to the next one.
Yes, I agree, Kelly, because the content we haven't, I know I've given, and Kelly and I have given you examples of what it is, but at this point, this is just creating the content. We haven't put it out there yet, which
Yeah.
is the second one. So that second key area on the model, modern networking model, is social. So this is where that content becomes visible.
Hmm.
Okay, so you are actually putting it out there. Okay, this is your presence. This is where people start to see you. Okay, so, and this is where you're sharing your value. Okay, now I was talking to actually my cousin in Holland this week, and she has her own business over there as well. And we were talking, we always we Zoom once a month and we talk about family, we talk about our businesses, and she made an interesting point. Um, she said the content that you're putting out there at the moment is that you're sharing it because you want to share it.
Yes.
You're you're not sharing it to get sales.
You know what's really interesting about this, and I know I'm stealing your thunder, but I don't want to lose this thought train. There was a time for both of us, and I suppose it was more as the SME was more your responsibility that you
Mm-hmm.
had to write stuff and you had to be inspired, and
Mm-hmm.
it was such a chore. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and now, yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about the other Jackie, um, and
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
the other
the
Jackie.
other
Yes.
Jackie. The Yeah, she's right. I
Mm.
you get weirdly and inspirationally excited about what you're sharing now. So
Yes.
yeah, I've
Yes.
pointed out the video transition many times, but yeah,
Yeah. And I thought when Jackie, that's my cousin in Holland, said that, I thought, oh, she's actually onto something there. Like, so yeah, it's come to that
mm,
point, hasn't it, Kelly? Because as you said initially, it was like, oh, I've got
but
to put this stuff out there. This is so hard. But now it's,
it's
I've just
slow
worked
down,
through that.
Jackie. It's slow down, Jackie, now. Because you've already written
Yeah.
all your articles for, we said we're going to take a break while you're gone. You've already written half the articles for when you're back. So
Mm,
there's that weird little shift that's happened there. Um,
yeah.
but again,
Yeah.
something that inspires you and excites you, and you want to share. It's not a chore anymore.
Exactly. It's not. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about in the first section around content.
Mm,
You need just start and yes, the first dozen, 2 dozen, however long it takes will be clunky, but you have to get through that to get to the really good stuff because it really helps you to start thinking differently.
yeah. I'm thinking
Okay,
too much
so
right now. I'm sure you can see it on my face. I'm going to let you finish
I
the
know,
main
I'm thinking.
topic because I've had some ahas, Jackie. I've had some ahas.
Okay.
You finish now. I'm going to be singing
That's
aha all
scary.
day.
And look, don't forget with socials as well. I said it is about connection. So you are putting stuff out there that you want to share, and people can really connect to it. But also, as part of this is also like commenting on other people's what they've shared as well, providing your input also tagging other people, just being aware of what you can actually share as well. So that's still content. Okay, so we've got content as the first quadrant. then we're putting that content out there on socials. Can I move to the next one, or do
No, I
you,
want you to
because
continue
you
with
have an excited look on your
yeah, no,
face?
I want you to continue with the socials, please, where
Ah,
run
okay.
through, yeah, because I cut you off before you actually got to explain it. Um, and I'd really love, yeah, to tie up that explanation with some insights.
Okay. I don't know what you think I haven't said, but anyway.
Okay.
So
I'm
yeah,
like,
you go, you go.
let's explain to him. No. Okay, so Jackie's got some really good insights here on the run sheet that we've explained in a different kind of way to what she's got on here. And she said here, how are we engaging, showing up, interacting, or just watching?
Mm,
The very key point that Jackie has at the beginning here is that this is where visibility turns into connection.
yes.
And that moment that Jackie's gone from, oh, I don't want to write this article, to,
Mhm,
oh, I'm writing 6 months in advance. She's not quite there, but she's
mhm,
inspired to do that is because people are, I suppose it's twofold there. People are connecting with what you have to share because you are genuinely like you, it's not forced anymore. It's not writing stuff
right.
that you think other people want. It's what you
Mhm,
think is valuable or would have been valuable to you. Therefore, people are connecting and relating, and that becomes that cycle of inspiration. You are building a, to coin a 1990s, 2000s, I don't know, lost time phrase, you're building a social network here.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
building your own
that's
social
right.
communities because your content has resonated, but you are becoming a social being, but
Yeah,
in a non-traditional sense for those of us
yeah.
born before the year 2000. Um, but yeah, the other thing you've got here too is about that consistency
Yes.
and not perfection
Yes.
being.
Yeah, you have to just show up. It doesn't have to be perfect and polished. Like at the moment, I just do little short videos for Atoll on my phone and send them through to our marketing coordinator. She just says, "Oh, can you talk about this?" So I just pick up my phone and go blah 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 and send it. Like there's even one that I did recently. I just washed my hair.
And I
It
loved
was
it.
wet. Yeah, it was
In the
wet, and
kitchen,
but the
yeah.
whole point was because we're talking about the commute for online training. So I didn't have any makeup on, my hair wasn't done. I just picked up the phone. I was in my kitchen. So that's the real Jackie.
Yeah, yeah, and it
So
takes a long time to get there because I'm supposed to be doing some of those as well, and I'm not quite comfortable there. I've got a list on my wall of things that I need to do or should be doing in that space, but I'm not comfortable, and you're not going to be here for 4 weeks, and then you're back for a little bit, and then you're gone again, and I'm going to have to step up. But I'm interested to see that transition in myself from
mm,
being
yeah.
required to do it and it's a chore. Let's see if by the end of it I'm loving it as much as you do.
Well, it gets easier.
It does.
That's
And that's why this is
honestly,
easy.
it gets easier. My challenge at the moment is like it's okay if it's just me. My challenge is involving other people in it. I feel like because I think of it in my head and think, oh, this would be really good to, I'm with this person. But then I feel like I'm making, are they comfortable with it? And then
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a bit over the top. So that's my next challenge is pulling other people in and sharing that like
Mm.
on a video or even a photo. I feel a little bit embarrassed asking, oh, can we have a photo, because I feel like maybe an Instagram influencer. That's actually a really good point. We're not becoming influencers. Daniel Priestley, he's my absolute favorite, well, I was going to say favorite man. My husband is, but my favorite author at the moment.
Freudian
Um,
slip.
and he's got a great book, Key Person of Influence, and he's got some great podcast episodes as well. Even on Diary of a CEO, he's got some great content on there. But he talks about we're not becoming influencers because he uses that term. Influencers like Instagram, that old traditional one, they're promoting themselves. It's about them. Okay. They're normally really good looking, muscles,
Just like us.
not wearing, many clothes. Yeah. Yeah. And then people come to them and say, oh, here's a product. Here's a
Yeah.
product. Okay. But it's them. It's about them. As influencers in this industry within business, we're saying, rather than look at me, we're saying, look at this.
Yeah.
It's not look at me, it's look at this.
Yeah. We're
Okay,
not.
so it's completely different. Change your mindset
Yeah.
around that.
A traditional influencer is influencing someone's thoughts, feelings, and opinions about them and the viewer to make them be them. I definitely prefer your one of your new favorite terms in that thought leader in this space. It is about
Yeah.
sharing and not influencing. We're not trying to
Yes.
make other people think the way that we're thinking or feel the way we're feeling. We're sharing our thoughts and experiences and letting people come up with their own thoughts and
Yeah.
feelings
I,
about that.
yeah. I said something, I think it was when the First Amendment came out for the standards in February last
Yeah.
year, the climate change amendment, and I shared my thoughts on
Yeah.
that. And I remember in that post, I said, I'm sharing to learn, not to be right.
Yeah. And I think we did
And
said that same thing recently with the bigger the draft amendments. We just want to learn other people's thoughts and feelings.
yeah,
Huge difference. Yeah.
that's it. I'm putting my thoughts out and how I interpret the changes, but yeah, it's not just because I've put it out there doesn't mean it's right. I'm putting it out there to start the conversation and learn
Yeah.
as well. So, and if you have that approach, then it's a lot more comfortable.
Yeah. And again, before we skip ahead to the next ones, and I know we're spending a lot of time in this social space, but this all of what we're talking about here said there's a lot of people out there, said myself included, and occasionally yourself included. We've got a couple of team members who are much more comfortable behind their desks, and oh my God, are they the best people to work with ever? But I know that if we were in an office, that might be a very different dynamic for some of us. All of these things are incredible opportunities or extensions of things that we would have been doing face to face anyway,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
that we could never have done face to
No.
face in an office or in a conference center, etc. You are being exposed to so many more people, and being on the right platform for your cause or your purpose. And again, ISO particularly here, we know LinkedIn is a very supportive and
Hmm.
majority intelligent, professional, open-minded community. But if we were on other social platforms, they might not be the same. So making sure that the social community that you're building here is the right group will really open up more opportunities than walking into a conference center with a business card. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I am not a huge fan of social media myself, but I do know that it does have its advantages, and this is absolutely one of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which leads on to the next one.
It does. It does. So the third key area in that modern networking model I picked out as digital. So digital networking. So this, everything Kelly and I have talked about so far, create your content and the socials. This is where people find you. I honestly spend a lot of time. People message me. Um, I I sort of, figure out who I'm going to spend my time with, obviously. But I had a great Zoom with someone from a certification body last week, and he's been following what I've been putting on socials for years, and he finally reached out. We could have talked for hours, and this is normally what's happened because I'm putting content out in the world, people are finding me, and then they're connecting with me. We have a lot in common. We catch up on a Zoom. Okay, some of them I might meet for a coffee if they're local, but it's normally Zoom or Teams.
Mm.
And honestly, we can talk for hours. So we're we haven't met in person yet at this point, I want to emphasize. Okay, because we don't need to at this point. We've had Zooms. I had a Zoom on very early Monday morning with a gentleman in the US
Mm.
who contacted me over the weekend, and I really wanted to speak to him before I went to Denver. And I'm going to segue to topic 4, I know, but I'm meeting a student in Denver while I'm there. So I have not seen her in person yet, but we know each other from the already existing relationship that we have built. So by the time we meet each other in person, we are very familiar with who we are, what we do, what we're sharing. So we never had this decades ago. Okay, you just had a random phone call. It's like a blind date,
That's
essentially.
exactly why
And
I'm
you just,
chuckling. I'm like, this is
yeah,
this is
that's what it was
online dating
like.
for business peoples.
It's yeah, that's why I didn't like these networking events. Like you're talking to a complete stranger. But
Are we
now,
authentic? Are they
sorry,
are they authentic? Am I being authentic? Am I?
yeah, they're the complete stranger. But these three, so content, socials, and digital, all feed into in person. Now, am I jumping ahead? Do you want me to,
Yeah, no,
did you want to say
let's
something
quickly,
before I
because I
jump
think
ahead?
we've captured a lot of this in socials. We're going to pick it up a lot in person. So let's just quickly flick through this one. You said you're no longer
Okay,
reacting.
yeah, because I sort of want to take it there because yes, there is in person, so that's the fourth and final in the quadrant for the modern networking, but it's different. So as I said, decades ago it was like a blind date. Now, in person, you already have this established network. I'm already getting emails from people that are also going to Denver. I know them. I haven't met them in person. I know them.
Mm.
I've had Zooms with them. As I think I mentioned it earlier on, the conference released an app
Yeah.
about a week ago. So I've already got people talking to me and chatting to me on the app that know me from LinkedIn, or have seen me on the app because I'm running a brain date as well. So I've already set up a brain date. I've got people looking at that, sending me messages. I've got a gentleman from California that we're meeting on day 3 somewhere at Lobby D if you're there. so, so we're already connected. So this in-person connection is different now. It's not a blind date. We've got an established relationship. We know each other's thoughts. We know each other's passions. We know what we're sharing. So this is just the next extension. So it's without that, if you're just doing it the old way, there's no substance behind it.
No, this is,
Am I getting my message
you
across?
are, and I'm about to translate into not Jackie. This is a filter. This is okay. Do this person and I resonate? Do we relate?
Mm-hmm.
It,
Mm-hmm.
is my time well
Mm-hmm.
spent with this person? Is this time going to be of value? Can I give them any value? Can they give me any value? Is this
Yes.
person creepy? Do I want to have a blind date, or do I need to ask the
Exactly.
bouncer just to keep an eye on me when he goes to the bathroom, or vice versa?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is your filter. This is your opportunity to gauge, yeah, your comfort level. That is this relationship, professional relationship, worth pursuing? What can we both
Yes.
get out of it? It helps you. You said you've got all of these methods that we wouldn't have used before. I'm thinking about, we went to an incredible conference last September, both you and I, and then Christine and I went to another one a couple of weeks later. Um, one of those had an app which was fantastic for us for planning.
Yep.
It didn't have any of these kind of networking
Mm.
opportunities until you were already there. And that sounds like that's made an incredible difference to you. So you're not only getting that educational, personal development, industry insights opportunity, this makes the conference or anything like that so much more valuable. You're going to get more out of your meetings, etc., because when you get there you both know where you stand, what your plan is, what those opportunities are. You're comfortable with each other, you've kind of got
Yep.
an idea. The only thing that will be a surprise when you get there is when you walk up to meet your colleague and they're this much shorter than you and they go um, but look, there is still an element of mystery and entertainment, but this is your filter. This is
Yes.
your, is this my
Well,
person?
everything before this has been really the filter because you know them.
Yeah. But
They know you.
they know, well, that's the difference here, I think, between
Mm-hmm.
content and socials. They know you. Digital is
Yes.
where you get to know them.
Yep.
Because you're still going to have some people that drop in there. Thank you to our friend Hans. And we had another gentleman a couple of weeks ago who gave their wonderful opinions on their feelings about us. But we don't know them from a bar of soap. So this is
Yep.
kind of, it is the community I've created, the community that I desired, I suppose, is what this opportunity
Yeah, that's
is.
right. And actually, that's a really good point. It's that community as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that community, and this is sort of what it feels like, moving into this conference.
Yeah.
It's, it's, I've established a community already without the in person. And now the in person, there's an opportunity for the in person. And now we're all passionate and excited about, quality and improvement. And we're all going to this one place. So
Yeah.
now we can meet in person. But we already have a relationship, whereas the old school networking events, it was a blind date.
Mm.
It was horrible. I will
Yeah.
never ever do anything like that ever
Which
again.
I'm kind of going to go backwards, forwards, and off on a tangent here for a moment. This is a conversation you and I have had before. We did a couple of classroom trainings before 2019 happened. And I walk into a classroom and I'm like, hi, everybody, this is fantastic. I make friends like that. Jackie walks in and puts her books down and she's got to build this up. And again, we walked into the conference. I'm hi, 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 hi. Jackie's like, hi, and she'll get there, but it's not her comfortable space. Then at
No.
some point, we flip, and Jackie becomes the, I've met this person, this is amazing, these are all the things and everything. And I go, oh, meeting people was exhausted, and now I have to maintain that relationship. And how do I do that and do all of these other things? And again, that's our mental makeups and those sorts of things. But I'm watching you get so excited about actually going to this event, knowing that even since September of last year, you were like, oh, I have to meet people. Once she's met people, she's fantastic. But it's that initial, you said that blind date terrifies you, or walking into that room
Yeah,
and it's
that's
not
right.
it's not comfortable for you. And then said for me, I can fake that till I make it. But for me, it's this here, flipping it around a little bit. You've done it again. Your chart goes this way, but backtracks a little bit. This for
Yeah.
me picks up where I'm uncomfortable with the next phase.
Yeah. I suppose, yeah, you use each phase based on, yeah, your personality type
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But I found it interesting when I put it together that to me everything feeds into each other. And I've actually, the big light bulb moment for me talking about it is that difference between a blind date and, oh, we already know each other because we've been chatting on LinkedIn. Oh, this is the person that shares this. We've then messaged each other and on WhatsApp or whatever, and we've had a Zoom already.
So
And, we're already talking before the conference.
The only bit that's going to really weird you out in the next part is when someone you've never met, never seen, never commented comes up, "Oh, Jackie, I loved your conversation about this and this." And then you're like, "Oh no, I'm an
It's like,
influencer." I'm not.
yes, it's like, oh, okay.
Okay, thanks, bye. So yeah, if anyone's listening to this and they haven't connected directly with Jackie, probably send her a LinkedIn message before you get there and say, "Hi, I'm about to creep you out," and say, "Hi, I'm coming."
Just be gentle.
Be gentle, be gentle. You've been warned. Which, yeah, let's jump into this fourth one because there's a lot here, as you said,
Okay.
to tie everything
Yeah,
around.
I sort of feel like we've covered it because I've talked about how, well, that digital stuff, I suppose,
Mm,
feeds into this. So really, I'm a lot more comfortable moving into this fourth area, which is the in-person connection. So I suppose, you know, you could form partnerships, collaboration here, but you can still do that digitally.
mm,
This is just another opportunity. And in this in-person space, particularly in a conference, and Kelly, you mentioned the one you and I went to last September. In these events, to me, you and I at last September's loved the keynote speakers. Like, it was only a 2-day conference. We were there from breakfast to dinner essentially because
mm.
we learnt so much. So, you know, the the point of going to these conferences is, I think I said in my newsletter, we need to send the best person possible to these conferences, not someone in the business that doesn't, you know, can't connect and doesn't know the business, and more importantly, can't take away insights.
Yeah, if I went to this conference, look, nobody in our business is more passionate about quality than you are. We all get really excited about innovation, but I couldn't go to this because these aren't my people. If we were talking
Mm,
operations or anything like that, and I know I'm not necessarily the person that you're talking about, but you do need someone who is passionate about the topic to go there to bring back those key insights and lessons and then
that's it.
share that passion
That's
back
it.
with the
Yes,
team.
it's exactly. And to me, that's the most exciting because I've already, added to my schedule. I'm going to this and going to this now. Like, I'm getting stressed because I want to go to so many things and some things overlap because there's so many opportunities for us,
Mm.
and for me to learn because I understand the topic. I'm passionate about it and it's going to benefit Atoll so much because I'm going to bring back, I know, ideas and
Mm. Which is why yesterday I booked 3 weeks annual leave a couple of weeks after Jackie gets back. So, no, but it is that it's the the conference needs to be something of relevance. We get them in our inboxes all the time.
Mhm.
Yes, I was saying to you before, I've cleared my inbox, and most of what's left is this stuff. And then, yes, they're relevant to me, but they don't excite me. So I'm going to be sitting there, I'm going to be bored, I'm not going to bring anything in, or, oh, that's so different to my thoughts. I don't want to listen to this person because my opinion is different. That's not worth sharing. No one's going to get anything out of that. You really, yeah, you need to be passionate, but this is where having that community there, because if you
Mhm.
can't get to all of those events, you now have a network of people that you can catch up with for dinner or a couple of days afterwards and go, oh, I missed that one. Please share.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that's a really good point because on the app you can look for people and connect with people. So if I'm going to do that, thank you, Kelly. That's
You're
another
welcome.
great
Another
idea.
great idea.
If
That's
if,
two today.
if I do, that's enough.
I'm
Um,
done.
yeah, if I am double booked and have to make a choice, then at least I can just message that person on the app and say, hey, I'd love to, yeah, love to catch up, or, let's connect on LinkedIn. And even if we don't have an opportunity to meet in person there, I've made that connection, and here we go into that. Well, it goes backwards. That's digital. It goes in that
That's what
backwards
I was
loop
saying
then.
before, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I'm not always
Yeah.
comfortable maintaining those relationships afterwards, making the phone call, catching up with coffee, everything like that. But that digital space gives someone like me
Yeah.
that opportunity to maintain that in my own.
Yeah.
And here's a different thing too. Previously in the old world, in person, like how many times have you tried to catch up with your girlfriends and you're like,
Oh,
oh yeah, well, not so much now that we don't have little ones, but oh sorry, we've got play date on. I'll use our wonderful Melissa as an example. Sorry, I've got soccer for this one here, then this one here, and then they've got tutoring, and then this one's here, and then Melissa's like afternoon tires me out for a month. How, I don't know how she catches up with her girlfriends, but she manages. But
well, it's happening to me now. I need to
exactly.
finish recording this podcast in like 8 minutes
So get
because
out of here. But
because I'm meeting someone for coffee,
yeah,
and
you've got it. How
it's
stressed
like,
are
and
you
I've
about
got to be
that?
back for another Zoom at 11:15.
Look how
So
stressed you are about
it's,
that. But digitally,
yeah, that's right.
hang on, let me just throw
If
something in there. Let's just walk around the house with a glass of coffee. That's not what I was going to say,
yeah,
but a cup of
glass.
coffee and catch up that way. So
Yes,
I
you're
know
so right.
I know we've been talking about conferences, but this like that's the perfect example today before we do kind of wrap up. This I really want to emphasize. We've used a conference as an example today.
Yes.
That is not solely what we're talking about. The
No.
world has changed a lot in the last 5 years, let alone the last 10, 15, except the world's changed a lot in the last 4 months, let's be honest. Um, the way that people connect, period, has completely changed. And this new digital space and the opportunities that are available through, as we said, digital networks, social network, content collaboration, all of these are opportunities that were not really there to a lot of people pre-COVID. Like for us, we've been doing this for 12 years, virtually,
Yeah.
online, remote. Um, but so many people are still stuck in that mindset. Well, I have to meet somebody face to face to
Yes.
actually succeed in business. Oh, I should want to see this person. They need to sit with me. I'm not going to get anything out of this relationship by not sitting down with that person or sitting down next to them and having this meeting one on one next to
Mm-hmm.
each other. Think about all of those. Again, back to that video you did in the kitchen. How long is it going to take you to brush your hair, put on some makeup, get some nice shoes, take your Ugg boots off, get in the car? Oh, hang on, I've got to get fuel. Oh, now I've got to find a
Yeah.
parking spot. Oh, I don't want to sit here. It's in the sun. No, it's too cold. Oh, now I've got to wait for all those people with the coffee. That person over there is annoying me. Oh, now I'm relying on the waitress. Now I've got to get back. Oh, none of that happens in a world of Zoom. It's like, okay, I've got to Zoom in 5 minutes. I'm just going to go up and grab a coffee, sit down here, make sure I've got my water. I'm relaxed. I'm in my environment. You're going to get the best
Yeah.
out of me.
That's, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But not
Such a
only
good
that,
point.
think about all of the people that you were never going to meet ever
Ah,
face to face.
yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
your,
It opens,
yeah,
opens the world.
yeah, yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
there is, we are available 24/7, but you're still able to set boundaries in this space.
Yeah.
So, yeah, please don't think that face to face or sitting there, physical face to face. I think that's the difference. In person and face to face have a new definition.
Yes.
There's physical and virtual. And there's nothing wrong
Yes.
with that physical
True.
space, but the virtual space gives so many more people so much more opportunity, so much
Yeah.
more valuable. And then you can choose whether or not you want to like give your time to another person in the physical sense.
That's right. If it's logistically,
Suitable.
yeah,
Yeah,
possible. Yeah.
yeah,
But you know,
exactly.
you can still conduct business
Yeah,
in person virtually.
yeah. Not everyone
Yeah.
needs to work in an office. A
No.
lot of people can work.
Oh God, you opened up a can of worms
That's
there.
right. Just think about that neck on Saturday when you're heading to the polls, Australia. There's mine. Put a disclaimer in the show notes. No political opinions were discussed. Yeah, absolutely. Please don't think of this just in the conference sense. The new digital virtual world has given us all so many opportunities, and really does make so many more people available, comfortable, and yeah, the opportunities available to us are now endless. So, knowing that I've just created additional panic in you about how you need to get to this coffee shop, I'm going to let you wrap up.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, welcome to the modern networking model. So we did design it for you as ISO leaders, but obviously it can apply to whatever industry. So the first quadrant was about content. So that's about showing up with value. And Kelly and I did mention about sharing what you enjoy sharing, not because you're trying to sell something. So, you can share your thought leadership. You can share like resources as well. We sort of forgot to mention that, but there's all of these different types of content you can create based on your knowledge and skills. And then the second quadrant is around socials. So that content that you build, now you're getting it out there. Okay. And that actually builds engagement. So the content is about your value, then you're putting that out there to build engagement. It makes you visible. And so you need to be consistent about that as well. This is where people are going to start noticing you, and they'll start connecting with you or commenting or sending you messages, which feeds into the third area, which is digital. So that takes that connection to a new level. Okay, as I said, I have Zooms every week with people I have never spoken to before, but we know each other on LinkedIn. Okay, so, and 9 times out of 10, we could have booked a half day event and just kept talking because we have so much in common, because we've already picked that up by what we're both sharing and talking about on socials. So that digital connection, it's like it deepens, it takes that relationship to that next level. And then finally we talked about in person. So that's more about presence. And I know Kelly did a really good wrap up in the last one of defining, well, in person can actually be digital. We these days we consider this in person, a Zoom.
Face to face.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Whereas face to face, physical, I think that's the word you use, that's another level. So that physical catch up, I suppose it's not like, this is a good wrap up, it's not like blind dates anymore. Okay, you're not just turning up and you don't actually know these people, because all of those three before, you've had the opportunity to build the relationship as well. Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to you, Kelly, to close off. But before I go, obviously, I do want to say anyone can follow the standard. So why don't you be the one to lead the standard?
Which is a great segue. Check out the show notes. A link to Jackie's book will be there very soon. I didn't want to forget that before I did wrap up this episode of Lead the Standard. Thank you all for listening. As always, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. We have explored today what it means to connect as a modern ISO leader. And by the time that this episode goes live, Jackie, you will actually be in Denver, which is really exciting. So, yeah, we've shared today about value, visibility, genuine trust. These aren't done by accident. They are built through those intentional actions, both online and off, creating that momentum to leave and build your community. So thank you, as always, for sharing, reminding us that leadership doesn't live in a checklist. It lives when we show up and how we show up and build that community. Now, I've shared lots of highlights this week, so I'm not going to share another one because we will make Jackie late for her coffee break, and I need her back here for that first team meeting. Before we go, as people may have guessed, we are going to be pressing pause for a couple of weeks while Jackie heads off to WCQI in Denver. And then she's going to take a very well-earned, overdue break, and rightly so. So we're going to be back in early June with a fresh new episode. We're going to be tackling a bit of a big one. Imposter syndrome. You know more than you think you do. And that's a really good segue on from topic 1 that we talked about today in content, etc. So please be sure to mark your calendars for that one. We will be back before you know it. Until then, Jackie, travel safe, stay warm. Hope you packed that jacket. Everyone else and Jackie, take care, stay curious, and keep leading the standard. Bye for now.
Bye.